let's start with just introducing yourself and telling us how you got into wrestling.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Doty and I work at Edwardsville Wrestling Club. And I've kind of been all over. So I started wrestling when I was really young, and girls wrestling wasn't really a thing. And so my parents weren't comfortable with me competing yet. So I just practiced all the time. I loved being around it. And eventually I got into enough trouble where they're like, okay, you can go compete in high school. So I competed in high school in California and then went to college in Missouri and found my way over to Illinois after that. So Edwardsville Wrestling Club is where I found myself.
And you're also part of Team Illinois.
Yes, that's correct. So I'm the head coach for the Team Illinois women's team.
Mm-hmm. So, and when people hear Team Illinois for girls wrestling, what should they picture?
I think just a legacy, really. It's the freestyle season is Team Illinois. So it's national duels and Fargo. And this past year, we had over 140 girls that competed. So just trying to build something great and continue the legacy that people have built before me.
And so the Team Illinois, this team is not the team that trains together at the same time. So this is
No, it's
okay.
not. So it's the whole state, and then we come together. Yep.
Okay. So how does a girl Illinois goes from just a local club, private club, feeder club, or high school program to getting a spot on the Illinois team?
Yeah, the biggest thing is freestyle. So getting involved in freestyle, which is the style that women wrestle in college anyway. So it's great to just get a part of that early on. And freestyle state is how you qualify for the team. And there's also some regionals around the country that they can go to in Indiana and Wisconsin. And there's some down south in Georgia. So just getting involved in freestyle is the biggest thing.
So do they reach out to you or do you reach out to them?
I reach out to them. So the state of Illinois works together. There's a couple people involved. I really just direct and head on the camp and make sure girls are getting what they need done. The dual team is where I select people to be on. But for Fargo Nationals, it's something they qualify for. So they'll know that they're on the team once they take top 3 in state, is what it is.
And for those that don't know, what does the dual team, they're meeting together for a day, for a week?
Yeah, so dual team is in the middle of June. We have a 14U, a 16U, and a junior team. So really all levels. And we come together. Last year, we were at the University of Illinois. We had a 1.5 day camp where we got to stay the night there and experience that. And then we drove over to Indiana, just about 2 hours, where our competition was at. And it's a 2-day competition. And we wrestle against all the other states in the country.
Mm-hmm. And how about Fargo?
And then for Fargo, it's very similar, but we come together for a 3.5 day camp. That's up at Aurora University. And then we'll travel to Fargo in North Dakota. So definitely a longer travel. And then we weigh in and then compete for 2 days after that.
And after that, you get back on a bus and go back.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
So correct me if I'm wrong, for many of these girls, they might meet each other for these 3 days. They might travel together, compete together, and then they might not see each other ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they see each other sometimes throughout the year. Kind of depends. If they're older, they might not see each other again, but they'll see each other at different tournaments. And that's kind of the cool thing about the freestyle season is you make these really great friendships and relationships with girls on other teams. So if you are a girl alone on your team, you can look forward to tournaments and seeing those friends and connecting again while you get to compete.
Mm-hmm. What makes Illinois girls wrestling stand out, if anything?
I think the grit for sure. I see a lot of girls that are just really tough in Illinois. It kind of comes from the history of Illinois girls wrestling. They have had to fight for this spot to be on a team. So there's definitely a culture of earning their spot on the mat. So a lot of them have worked really hard in that. So their effort has been incredible. And I think that stands out in Illinois for sure.
Can you walk us through a typical training cycle, what the typical training cycle looks like for a girl chasing a spot on the regional or the national team?
Yeah. So in the freestyle season, it is just a little bit harder because it's not the high school's job to provide that. A lot of high schools do, but a lot of the times they will start to be in different clubs. So, like down in the South, we have Southern Illinois Regional Training Center, there's PSF, there's Black Ops, there's a couple different clubs outside of high school that come together. And so all these different teams get to train together. So it's a really cool opportunity. And so they're doing that. They'll do some individual things on their own. And it's really focusing on April is freestyle state. And then after that in May, there's a regional every weekend. So people go to compete just to get that competition, even if they've already qualified. And some are still trying to fight for that qualification throughout regionals. And then June is just a lot of training. And if you're on the dual team, you get to compete in that. And then July is when we kind of get ready and peak for Fargo.
So for somebody who is, let's say, is a high school girl or maybe a middle school girl competes in the freestyle state as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So for somebody who is only exposed to wrestling through a middle school or high school, what do you think your recommendation be to prepare themselves for a freestyle state?
Yeah, I would find a club. There's a lot of them everywhere. You can definitely find a club, and they're all really great because they're all a combination of teams coming together. So you can find those on IKWF's website or even USA Wrestling's website. You can find clubs near you or just reach out to me too. That's kind of my job. If someone is looking for a place where they need to train, they can reach out to me and then I'll send out an email to all the coaches that I know and get them a place to go.
For those, again, that don't know the difference between folk style and a freestyle, can a girl go from just a high school, then not wrestle for a month, and then go to a freestyle state? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it work before. It's definitely getting more competitive to where you need to know freestyle, but wrestling is wrestling. You know, the rules are just a little different. So you have to be aware of those. But if you can take someone down, you're going to be able to win a match. So it's just the top bottom that's really different and being able to turn someone when they're on their stomach rather than in a base.
Mhm. And since we are talking about Fargo, and it seems like a big deal for somebody who, wants to at least be a national qualifier. So let's just go over what earns them the spot on that team. I know you mentioned the regional competitions and the state competition, but can we talk a little bit more about where do you need to be in those?
Yeah, so every state gets 4 representatives in each weight class, and every state gets to decide how to choose those. And so Illinois does top 3 at our freestyle state tournament. And then we have a second tournament called Second Chance, where the winner of that will take that 4th spot. And so that compiles those 4 spots that are specific to state representatives. And then anyone that places top 6 at a regional or is a returning All American, so a placer from the last year of nationals, automatically qualifies. So they don't take any of those 4 spots away. So really, you could have, 10 in a weight class, which is not common, but we usually have more than the 4 representatives because we'll have girls place at regionals or be a returning All-American.
And for regional competitions, which the regional competitions usually take place after state.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And they are in different states.
Yes.
The closest ones to us are Wisconsin/Minnesota or potentially Indiana or Kentucky.
Yes, that's correct. So a lot of our Illinois girls, depending on where you live, so I'm down south, so Indiana is closer to me. And so a lot of our girls will go to Indiana, but there is also Northern Plains. And I believe it's in Wisconsin this year, which is definitely closer than Minnesota for us.
With all that said, if somebody who went to freestyle state and placed at freestyle state and already earned the spot, do you recommend that they go to the regional competition?
I do, yes. So Fargo Nationals goes off of the PIN system, the PIN system from USA Wrestling. So the more you can compete in those big competitions, the better your pin rating can be. And so that just gets you a better seat at Fargo Nationals. And it's just good to get more experience and more competition. And if you do place at regionals, then someone else will move up to take that state spot because now you're an automatic qualifier. So that also gets more girls available to go to Fargo.
What we do want to take out of this is that just because you qualified for state, you want to continue wrestling because you want to continue having, the competition practice against girls, not only in this state, but also in different states.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to prepare you for that national tournament. And there's very few local tournaments. They kind of all happen in April, those freestyle local tournaments. So past state, it's really regionals is where you get your competition at.
What are some of the biggest challenges Illinois girls might face when traveling out of state to compete?
I think it would be just getting used to the level of competition, which is a good thing. The state of Illinois is really good, but there are some other people that are going to be better than you. So it's good to go get that experience again at regionals to where, okay, you get the shock of, man, I need to up my level and be able to continue to work hard and get to this point and hold this standard because this is what Fargo is going to be. And then on the other side of that, our really good girls that are going out and crushing it, that competition helps them understand, okay, I'm where I need to be. I'm doing the right thing and I'm going to keep working at this and know where I'm at for Fargo. So it's all just a measuring stick, and competition is good no matter where it's at.
Well, how about, okay, I think you mentioned when they are going together, how do they travel and what else do they need? Do they need to pay for it?
Yeah. So for the duels and for Fargo is when it's with the state and you pay the state and travel with the state. So it's usually by bus for Fargo for sure. And then the dual team, some is bus and some is vans. It just kind of depends on where we're at and how many girls we have with us. And the dual team, it depends on what age group. I believe it was 500 for 14U and 16U, and then 600 for junior. I may have that backwards. It may have been 5, 6, and 6. I don't know off the top of my head, but and then Fargo is about double that because you get travel included, your camp included. So that's all food taken care of. You get a per diem each day and then all the gear as well. We get a lot of gear with it. And yeah, that's everything involved in those trips.
Do you have any suggestions of how girls can finance this? Do other opportunities for fundraising, or is there something they should do during the year to make sure that they are ready for the financial commitment?
Yeah, I think it's both. So it's definitely a financial commitment. And whether you're new to freestyle and you're like, oh, I don't want to go pay all this and go 0 and 2. And it's an incredible experience. Again, to see what that standard is. Every girl that goes to Fargo is getting the benefit of knowing how hard they have to work that next year, whether they're winning or losing. So it's really a good experience and a great benefit to be there no matter what you do at that competition. So fundraiser wise, I would definitely plan ahead. Team Illinois does raffle tickets and you can sell them for $20 and that $20 goes towards your balance. And then other than that, like when I was an athlete, I just went around businesses. Like I would go to Subway and ask, kind of businesses that are maybe more athlete focused and see if they want to donate. And it may be $5, it may be 200. So it doesn't hurt to ask, and putting in that work kind of gives you more pride in that too, and you want to work harder for it. So I would definitely plan ahead, and there's GoFundMe now and all these different things. So people want to support women's wrestling, and you would be surprised at how much people would give.
Okay, so if you had a choice, would you start going to the brick and mortar shops, or would you get on a computer and look for maybe bigger companies that might be able to support people?
I would do both because I think the brick and mortar, kind of those local shops, have an investment in their local high school most of the time. So that's a great spot to be. And then like big companies, like I know Dick's, sporting goods, like they would give money, and kind of those big athletic companies. You'll again be surprised at if you send a letter or an email or go in person to your local shop, they want to support athletes, student athletes.
Okay, we just spoke about the importance of the dual teams and the exposure during the off season. But let's say if you are comparing two girls, and one of them is able to make it on the national team. She's on a dual team. She's going to on a national competition, and we have another girl who didn't. So what are your suggestions for the other girl? How can she continue improving during the off season?
Yeah, I would. There's so many summer camps, I think is the biggest thing. So camps are great if you can't go to Fargo. And there's also other competitions around the area that happen. Again, competition's always good to just kind of have that measuring stick and get that experience. Like practice is doing everything the best that you can in the practice room, but until you can test it in a competition, you don't really know what's working for you. So, as many competitions as you can get, even if it's folk style, if you don't make the Fargo team, it's okay to go back to folk style, get ready for that next year.
We are talking with Sarah Doty about Team Illinois and what it looks like to compete beyond our state borders. If you're enjoying this conversation, make sure to follow this podcast, leave a rating, and share this episode with another wrestling parent or coach who is curious about travel teams and national events. You can also follow us on Instagram for updates and behind-the-scene content. All right, let's get back into it. How do you feel we stack up against girls in the neighboring states? I feel like we are in the spot where the older states around us have really good teams.
Yeah, I think that that's a good thing. I think that the higher the level around us, it hires our level. And I think that we are one of the better ones in our area. I think in Northern Plains, I think is our regional is technically Northern Plains, even though it feels like we're central. I think we are one of the better states. I think we put on a good performance. I think we take a lot of quantity and quality to Fargo every year. So, yes, we're taking 140 girls, but we also have 20 of them all Americaning. So, again, it's going to continue to grow and continue to raise that standard. And that's kind of my job too. And what I focus on each year after Fargo is like, okay, what could I have done better? What's better at camp? And how are we comparing to these other states? What are they doing? How do we keep this team culture of wanting to work for each other and to do our best for ourselves?
And as the girls graduate from high schools, the girls that you have seen on your team, where do you see them going? Are they all going to?
They're kind of all over. I have seen a lot more locally recently. A lot of McKendree and North Central and Eureka and Aurora, just a lot of Illinois schools that we have. Our girls are staying local. There are a few that they're going out of state, like Harley Hiller. She's really great. She's up at Iowa, and a few that are elsewhere, but I do see more local. So it's great. We have 8, 10, we have 11 programs in the state of Illinois that are college programs for women. So it's really great opportunities here in state.
Are they all in four-year colleges?
No, there's one that is a JUCO, and then there is 10 that are D2 and D3.
Let's dial back a little bit and just at which point of time do you feel a girl needs to reevaluate to avoid the burnout? Because right now they are just in the beginning of the season. They have very intense months leading to the state series. Then they go straight from there. They only have about a month, right, until the freestyle state. And then it's still a go time. At which point of time do you feel somebody needs to step back and just like put the brakes on, reevaluate, and maybe do something else?
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone because it's such a hard question. Like, I'm evaluating my kids all the time, and it's hard to tell if like, okay, we need to push through this or you probably need a break. So it takes a lot of self-evaluation and you have to trust your athlete and knowing, okay, they said they need a break, they probably need a break. Or you can tell if like, okay, they can push through this and I think that they are about to reach this level, because a lot of the time the burnout comes from a plateau. Like I'm working so hard and I'm not getting any better. And sometimes you're so close to breaking through. It takes that one extra competition, that one extra week of practice to where you break through that plateau and you just raise that level a little bit more. Because when we're raising our level, we're loving it. That's the hardest part about wrestling is it's little inches that we raise every time. So when we get to that plateau, it is really hard not to feel that burnout. And I think the really cool thing about girls wrestling is relationships keep them around. So again, those friendships you get from Fargo or from your youth club or even on your high school team. Some girls are blessed to have a full high school team that keeps you around because you don't just love the sport, you love the people around it and the support you have with it. So it's a hard question to answer. I think that if someone is getting hurt all the time, that's kind of an indicator of like, okay, their body probably does need a break. And I think August is a great time to do that, or even right after the state series, that late February time is a good time to do that. Because wrestling really is like riding a bike. If you can get into shape, your body, your muscle memory will come back and you'll be able to wrestle well.
Where do you see Illinois sitting on the national map right now? Are we the top state yet? And if we're not, what do you think it would take for us to get there?
That's also a really good question and a hard one. Again, I mean, I think about it all the time. Like, what more do we need to do to be at the top? And we are up there. We are not the number one, like dominant. Pennsylvania is kind of that right now. And they're a smaller state. And I think that is a big benefit to them. I think with Illinois being so big, we're so spread out that it's hard to get our good girls all together in one room, being able to push each other. I think that's the biggest thing we could do to get to that next level is having regional camps throughout the year and trying to get these girls together. But again, that's so hard. Our schedule is crazy busy. There's, never a time off. We just talked about that with having burnout. There's not really a time to take a break. So I think that getting them together as much as we can and bought into Illinois as a state and not just themselves is a big part of it. A couple years ago, we won the national championship and I wasn't even expecting that year. And it was a really awesome thing to start this motivation to get there again. And, we took fifth at duels last year. So we're there. We're right there. It's just getting all these girls together and being able to push themselves instead of being so individual in the off season.
What role do you feel coaches, clubs, and state organization play in getting Illinois girls into the bigger stages like Fargo and the national duel?
I think the state has a lot of responsibility to create opportunities. So, like the state tournaments, like the local tournaments, and really pushing for girls to go compete at regionals and get as many girls as we can on those national dual teams and just communicating what it means to do that and what a benefit it is to get high level freestyle training before college. If that's their goal that they want to go wrestle in college, freestyle is going to be the style. So it's good to get them involved in that as much as they can. So that's really the state's responsibility to provide as many opportunities as possible. And then high school, I would say just encouragement, encouraging them to go to club practices around them. And if they can, if a high school coach has time, they can run some freestyle practices, even just 40 minutes after school, during the freestyle season. It's huge. Just a couple reps because the technique is different.
Looking ahead 5 years, what would your dream picture be of Team Illinois and its presence nationally?
Man, I want to be on top. I want to be on top, but I want to do it well. I want us to succeed and strive for excellence the right way. So I want our girls to have integrity. I want them to be good sports. I want them to just love it and to trust the process. So I mean, I dream of it all the time. Like it just pumps me up thinking about the girls that we have coming up and the girls that we have now. You know, I think last year we had a really group of girls and a lot of them are returning and they just love the sport. They love each other. They love to work hard. They have a great attitude and that's going to get us to the top. So, you know, I would love to be number one every year, but really that dream is to continue to have this team culture of we love to represent Team Illinois.
Great. So for somebody who is a middle schooler or high schooler, at which point, and right now they're wrestling most likely 5-6 days a week through their school. When do you feel like they need to start looking for a club? Is it now or is it after the season is over?
It's kind of different for everyone. I mean, look as soon as you can, but I wouldn't stress yourself out either. I think that girls specifically tend to get overwhelmed because we want to be perfect. You know, that's kind of a tendency that we have in our personalities. So I wouldn't worry about freestyle while you're in your folk style season. It's great to get some of those practices in if you have the extra time, but I wouldn't stress about it if it's overwhelming. You know, I think that there's plenty of time that after that state championship that you can be looking at, okay, this is the club that I'm going to be at next, because you don't want to bypass that state series, right? Freestyle is amazing. It's my favorite, but we also have the privilege of having a sanctioned state tournament that I want those girls to focus on too, because it is a really cool thing.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, Sarah. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing all this great wisdom of information with us.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate the conversation.
And I hope to have you back at some point of time to answer more fun questions.
Yeah, I love it. I love all these questions. They're really great.
If you're listening and thinking, my daughter might want to do this, remember, you don't have to figure it out alone. Start with your local club or school program. Ask questions and keep an eye for Team Illinois and state announcements. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Drop us a message on social media or email us at ilgirlswrestling@gmail.com. Until next time.